I knew something was wrong the moment Owen Harper walked into my lab with that shark-like smile, cold, fake, and utterly out of place. I'm Skylar Franklin, lead cryptographer for a defense contractor so classified I can't even name it without triggering a security review. For 9 years I've built the encryption systems that keep weapons, satellites, and critical infrastructure safe from enemies who'd love to watch America go dark. Owen had been on site for 6 weeks, sent by corporate to modernize operations. Translation: slash costs by firing senior staff and replacing them with cheap, unvetted labor. He stood in my doorway holding a tablet like it held divine truth. "Skylar," he said, my name dripping with disdain. "Got a minute? I've got 30 seconds before this compile finishes. Make it fast." He stepped in anyway. "Your salary is significant." "Correct. It matches the value of holding a top-secret SCI clearance and being the only person here who can maintain quantum-resistant crypto protocols. I've consulted experts," he said. "Much of your work can be automated. We're bringing in junior developers, Stanford grads, at a fraction of your cost." Junior developers. For military-grade encryption. They're smart. Hungry. Great. I hope they know SH isn't just a shushing sound. Owen ignored the jab. "We're restructuring. You'll document everything and hand over credentials by Friday." "Terminated," I said flatly. He nodded. "HR will handle the paperwork." I sat back down staring at the code I'd just finished. A 6-month project to secure drone comms from hijacking. Elegant. Unbreakable. And soon to be handed to someone who couldn't tell a 0-day exploit from a coffee stain. My hands shook, not from fear but fury. The kind that sharpens your mind instead of dulling it. I opened an encrypted app and messaged a contact labeled "Only Oversight." SF. Hostile management action detected. Primary cryptographer being removed without proper succession protocol. Advise. The reply came in seconds. "Oversight, stand by. Document everything. Do not surrender credentials until authorized by DoD review." I saved it, backed it up, and began compiling my real documentation. Not for Owen's Stanford kids, but for the federal investigators who'd soon be asking why a defense contractor threw national security into a dumpster fire to save a few bucks. Owen wanted documentation. He was going to get documentation. Just not the kind he expected. The next morning I arrived at 0600 hours. Military time, because that's how my brain works after a decade in defense. The parking lot was empty except for the night security guard's sedan and a maintenance van. I liked it this way. Quiet. No Owen. No politics. Just me and the machines that actually made sense. I badged into the sensitive compartmented information facility, the SCIF, a hardened room within a room where the really classified work happened. The walls were copper-lined to prevent electronic eavesdropping. No windows. No wireless signals. If you wanted to communicate with the outside world from inside the SCIF, you used a secured terminal with so many layers of authentication that by the time you logged in, you'd forgotten what you wanted to say. I ran my morning diagnostics. System integrity checks across all classified networks. Firewall logs. Intrusion detection alerts. Everything looked clean. Too clean, actually. The previous night's traffic logs showed almost no activity after 1900 hours, which was normal for a Tuesday, but there was a gap. A 3-minute window where the logging service appeared to have stopped and restarted. 3 minutes. Could be a legitimate service restart. Could be someone covering their tracks. I dug deeper, pulling up the raw packet captures that the system archived separately from the main logs. There, buried in the noise, was a login attempt from an unrecognized workstation ID. The attempt failed, wrong password, but the username was concerning. Sfranklintist. Someone had created a test account with my name. Recently. Yesterday, in fact. Timestamp, 1847 hours. Right after I left the building. I felt ice water replace the blood in my veins. They were already trying to access my systems. Before I was even officially gone. Owen wasn't just replacing me, he was trying to break into my work while I was still here. I took screenshots. Documented the unauthorized account creation. Exported the access logs to my personal encrypted drive, a small solid-state device disguised as a USB charging brick. It looked completely innocuous sitting on my desk, just another piece of tech debris. But it contained a complete mirror of every security event, every access attempt, Every configuration change made to the classified systems I managed. Difference. That's what it was. Because I'd been in this business long enough to know that when management starts acting shady, you need evidence before they rewrite history. Owen arrived at 0830 trailing a small entourage. 3 people I'd never seen before, all carrying expensive laptops and that confident ignorance of people who think cybersecurity is like every hacking scene in a movie, lots of fast typing and dramatic music. Skylar. Owen's voice was artificially cheerful. Meet the transition team. This is Casey Lambert, Riley Winters and Jordan Park. They'll be shadowing you this week. I looked at them. Casey had a man bun and wore a hoodie that probably cost more than my car payment. Riley kept checking her phone every 10 seconds like she was expecting a text from God. Jordan at least had the decency to look nervous. You have clearances? I asked. Owen jumped in before they could answer. They're working on interim clearances. Should be approved by next week. Interim clearances. I kept my voice flat. To access TS/SCI materials. It's being expedited. By whom? Interim secret clearances take months. SCI compartments require full-scope polygraphs and counterintelligence interviews. These things don't get expedited unless someone at the Pentagon signs off personally. Casey spoke up, his voice carrying that particular Silicon Valley cadence that made statements sound like questions. Look, we're not trying to step on any toes. We're just here to learn the systems so the transition is smooth. Everything he said sounded like a question. I already hated him. Fine. I gestured to my workstation. Pull up a chair. Let me show you what smooth looks like. For the next 4 hours I walked them through the basics. The very basics. How to log into the classified network. How the 2-factor authentication worked. Why you never, ever connected a personal device to anything inside the SCIF. Casey took notes on a tablet. Riley mostly texted. Jordan asked a few intelligent questions which made me think he might actually survive this disaster if he got out soon enough. At lunch, Owen pulled me aside in the hallway outside the SCIF. That was good. The collaboration works. Owen, they don't have clearances. Legally, I can't show them anything classified. What you just watched was the digital equivalent of showing someone where the light switches are. They're smart. They'll figure it out. Figure it out. I repeated his words slowly like explaining physics to a brick. The encryption protocols I manage are classified at the code word level. That means even with a top-secret clearance, you need specific authorization to access them. Your Stanford trio can't just figure it out. They'll be arrested if they try. You're being dramatic. I'm being accurate. But sure, let's call it dramatic. When the Defense Counterintelligence and Security Agency shows up asking why unauthorized personnel had access to classified crypto keys, I'll make sure to tell them you said not to worry about it. His face flushed red. You're really determined to make this difficult, aren't you? I'm determined to keep us out of federal prison. There's a difference. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Let me be clear, Skylar. You have 4 days left. 4 days to transfer your knowledge and walk away gracefully. If you sabotage this transition, I will ensure you never work in this industry again. Am I understood? I met his eyes. Held his gaze. Crystal clear, Owen. I'll document everything. Every single detail. I promise you, when this is over, everyone will know exactly what happened here. He seemed satisfied with that answer. Nodded curtly and walked away. What he didn't understand was that I'd just told him the truth. Everyone would know exactly what happened. Just not in the way he expected. I went back to the SE. The Stanford trio was gathered around my workstation, Casey's fingers hovering over my keyboard like he was about to start typing. Stop. My voice cracked like a whip. He jerked back. I was just going to. You were just going to commit a federal crime. Step away from the terminal. Riley looked up from her phone. We're supposed to be learning the systems. You're supposed to be observing. There's a difference. Casey, if you had pressed enter just now, you would have initiated a crypto key rotation without authorization. That's a reportable security incident. The NSA would receive an automated alert. Federal agents would be here within the hour. Is that what you want for your first day? Casey went pale. I didn't know. Exactly my point. You don't know. And 4 days isn't enough time to learn what you don't know. This isn't building a website. This is national security infrastructure. People die if we get this wrong. The room went quiet. Jordan spoke carefully. What would you need to properly train someone? 2 years minimum. 1 year of classroom instruction on cryptographic theory, secure coding practices and network security. Another year of supervised hands-on training with progressively increasing responsibilities. Plus a full security clearance with polygraph. Plus regular continuing education because the threat landscape changes constantly. Owen said you were being dramatic about the timeline, Riley muttered. Owen is a business major who thinks cybersecurity is something you can outsource to the lowest bidder. Owen is wrong. And in 4 days when I'm gone and something breaks, Owen is going to learn exactly how wrong he is. I spent the rest of that day writing documentation. Not helpful documentation. I wasn't stupid enough to create a how-to guide for someone without clearance. I documented the problems. Every shortcut Owen had taken. Every security protocol he'd violated. Every warning I'd given that he'd ignored. I time-stamped everything. Included email chains. Saved it all to my encrypted drive. By Wednesday, the tension in the building was thick enough to cut with a knife. Word had spread that I was being forced out. The other engineers kept stopping by my desk, quiet conversations with worried looks. They knew what losing me meant. They understood the house of cards Owen was building. Is it true? Asked Nina Brooks, one of the senior network engineers. They're really doing this? Apparently. I didn't look up from my screen. Owen thinks cybersecurity is a cost center that needs trimming. But you're the only one with access to the root certificates. The only one who knows how the key management system works. I'm aware. Skylar, if something happens to those systems, if someone gets in. I know, Nina. Believe me, I know. She lowered her voice. You have a backup plan, right? I finally looked at her. Nina had been with the company for 15 years. She'd survived 3 rounds of layoffs and 2 acquisitions. She knew how these things worked. Let's just say I've been thorough in my documentation. She nodded slowly. Understanding passed between us. Good. Because we both know Owen has no idea what he's doing. Thursday morning I arrived to find my badge wasn't working. The magnetic lock on the SCIF door blinked red. Denied. I tried again. Red light. Denied. I pulled out my phone and called the security desk. This is Skylar Franklin. My badge isn't working on the SCIF entrance. Hold on, Miss Franklin. Keyboard clicking in the background. Shows here your access was revoked this morning. Order came from Owen Harper. My heart rate spiked, but I kept my voice level. My last day is tomorrow. Friday. Says here effective immediately. I'm sorry, Miss Franklin. I'm just reading what's in the system. Understood. Thank you. I hung up. Owen had just made a critical mistake. He'd revoked my access early, which meant as of this morning, there was no authorized administrator for the classified cryptographic systems. The Stanford kids didn't have clearances. Nobody else in the building had the training. Owen had just created a security vacuum. I walked straight to Owen's office. Didn't knock. He looked up from his laptop, startled. You locked me out. Change of plans. We decided to accelerate the transition. There is no transition, Owen. Your team doesn't have clearances. I'm the only authorized key custodian. By removing my access, you've just orphaned every classified system in this facility. Casey and the others will handle it. They legally cannot. They don't have clearances. They have interim approvals. Show me the paperwork. He hesitated. It's being processed. Show me the paperwork. I don't have to show you anything. You're terminated, effective now. Security will escort you out. As if on cue, 2 security guards appeared in the doorway. Big guys. Ex-military probably. They looked uncomfortable. Miss Franklin, one of them said quietly. We need you to gather your personal belongings and exit the facility. I looked at Owen. He was smiling again. That same shark smile. Fine. But for the record, Owen, I warned you. Multiple times. I documented every warning. When the federal auditors show up, and they will show up, make sure you remember that I told you this would happen. His smile faltered slightly. Are you threatening me? I'm informing you. There's a difference. I turned to the guards. Let's go. They walked me to my desk. I packed my few personal items. A photo of my dog, a coffee mug, A small succulent that had somehow survived years under fluorescent lights. The encrypted drive was already in my pocket, disguised as a charging brick. The walk through the office felt like a perp walk. Everyone watched. Nobody spoke. When we reached the front entrance, I handed over my badge. "Sorry about this, Miss Franklin," one of the guards muttered. "Not your fault." I stepped outside into the afternoon sun. It was surprisingly bright after so many hours in windowless rooms. I got in my car, drove to the corner of the parking lot and pulled out my phone. Opened the encrypted app again. SF. Hostile removal executed ahead of schedule. Primary custodian access revoked with no authorized successor. All classified crypto systems now orphaned. SCIF security compromised. The response came back immediately. Oversight. Copy all documentation. Federal review team will contact you within 24 hours. Do not discuss with anyone else. Stand by. I sat in my car for a long moment watching the building in my rearview mirror. Somewhere inside, Owen Harper was probably celebrating. Probably telling Casey and Riley and Jordan how the old guard was gone and they were going to revolutionize everything. He had no idea that the clock had just started ticking on the biggest disaster of his professional life. I drove home, fed my dog and poured myself a bourbon. Then I sat down at my home computer and started compiling everything. Every email. Every warning. Every security violation. Every conversation where I'd told Owen this would end badly. The federal investigators would want a timeline. They'd want documentation. They'd want proof that I'd done everything right and Owen had done everything wrong. I had all of it. Time-stamped. Encrypted. Backed up to multiple secure locations. Owen wanted to fire me? Fine. But he just handed me every piece of evidence I needed to destroy him. My phone rang at 0730 the next morning. I was already awake, drinking coffee, watching the news while my dog slept on the couch. Unknown number. I let it ring through to voicemail. 30 seconds later it rang again. Same number. I answered. Franklin. Ms. Franklin, this is Special Agent Raymond Cole, Defense Counterintelligence and Security Agency. I'm going to need to meet with you today regarding a security incident at your former place of employment. I felt that familiar spike of adrenaline, the good kind, the kind that sharpens everything. I'm available. Can you come to our field office in Arlington? Say 1,000 hours. I'll be there. The line went dead. No small talk. No explanation. Just the facts. I finished my coffee, showered and put on my most professional outfit. Dark slacks, white blouse, blazer. The kind of thing you wear when you want to look credible in front of federal agents. I grabbed my encrypted drive and headed out. The DCSA field office was a nondescript building in a business park. The kind of place you'd drive past 100 times without noticing. No signs. No flags. Just a street number and a reinforced door with a camera above it. I pressed the intercom. Skylar Franklin. I have an appointment with Special Agent Cole. The door buzzed open. Inside was a small lobby with institutional gray carpet and furniture that looked like it was ordered from the same catalog as every government office in America. A woman in a dark suit met me immediately. Miss Franklin? I'm Agent Dana Wright. Agent Cole is waiting in the conference room. This way, please. She led me down a hallway to a room with a table for chairs, and a recording device sitting in the center like an accusation. Agent Cole stood when I entered. Mid-40s, gray hair, eyes that missed nothing. Miss Franklin. Thank you for coming on short notice. He gestured to a chair. Please have a seat. I sat. Agent Wright took the chair opposite me. Cole remained standing, arms crossed. I'm going to be direct, Cole said. Yesterday at approximately 1,600 hours, our monitoring systems detected a security anomaly at Sentinel Defense Solutions. Specifically, the cryptographic key management system for their classified networks showed unauthorized access attempts followed by a complete authentication failure. You were listed as the primary administrator. Can you explain what happened? I was terminated Wednesday morning. My access was revoked effective immediately, without a proper succession plan or authorized replacement. Cole's eyebrows went up slightly. Terminated. By whom? Owen Harper. He's the new operations manager. Arrived 6 weeks ago from corporate headquarters. And did Mr. Harper have authorization to revoke your access to classified systems? He had authorization to terminate my employment. He did not have authorization to remove me as key custodian without appointing a cleared replacement and completing the mandatory transition protocols outlined in NIST Special Publication 800-53. Agent Wright leaned forward. Did you inform Mr. Harper of these requirements? Multiple times, starting from his first week. I have documentation. I pulled out my encrypted drive. Time-stamped emails. Meeting notes. Incident reports. Everything. Cole took the drive, examined it. This is encrypted. Military grade AS-256. I can provide the decryption key, but I'll need it back. It's the only copy of some files. We'll image it and return the device within 24 hours. He set it on the table. Walk me through the timeline. When did Mr. Harper first indicate he was planning to terminate you? I spent the next 2 hours telling them everything. Every conversation. Every red flag. Every warning I'd given that was ignored. Agent Wright took notes. Agent Cole occasionally asked clarifying questions, but mostly just listened with that intense focus that made me understand why people confess to crimes in rooms like this. When I finished, Cole sat down for the first time. Miss Franklin, I need to ask you something directly, and I need you to be honest. Did you at any time sabotage or intentionally compromise the systems you managed? No. Did you leave any backdoors or vulnerabilities that could be exploited? No. The only non-standard access I maintained was a maintenance protocol that I designed and documented in my security architecture plans. It's logged. It's auditable. And it requires biometric authentication that's tied to my clearance. Did Mr. Harper or anyone else have access to this maintenance protocol? No. I offered to train authorized personnel during the transition. Mr. Harper declined and instead brought in 3 individuals without clearances. Agent Wright spoke up. Did these individuals attempt to access classified systems? One of them, Casey Lambert, nearly did. I stopped him before he could complete a command that would have triggered an NSA security alert. Cole and Wright exchanged a look. Cole stood again. Miss Franklin, we're going to need you to stay available over the next few days. Don't leave the area. We'll likely have follow-up questions. Am I in trouble? Right now you're a witness. Possibly the only person who can help us understand what happened and prevent further damage. But I need to be clear. If we find any evidence that you contributed to this situation, that status will change very quickly. You won't find any evidence because I didn't contribute to it. I tried to prevent it. Then you have nothing to worry about. He opened the door. Agent Wright will see you out. We'll be in touch. I left the building feeling strangely calm. The federal government now had evidence of everything Owen had done. The machinery of justice was slow, but it was thorough. And it was already in motion. I checked my phone when I got to my car. 7 missed calls from an unknown number. I called it back. Skylar. Owen's voice was panicked. Where have you been? I've been trying to reach you all morning. I've been busy. What do you want? The systems are down. Everything's locked. Casey tried to log in and it locked him out for 24 hours. We can't access anything. That's a security feature, Owen. 3 failed login attempts trigger an automatic lockout to prevent brute force attacks. Well, unlock it. I can't. You revoked my access, remember? I'll reinstate it. Just come back and fix this. No. Silence on the other end. Then, what do you mean, no? I mean, I'm not coming back. You fired me. You removed my access. You ignored every warning I gave you. Now you're dealing with the consequences. Skylar, you can't do this. We have contracts. Federal contracts. If we can't access these systems, we're in breach. You should have thought of that before you fired the only person who knew how to maintain them. I'll pay you. Consultant rates. Whatever you want. It's not about money, Owen. It's about the fact that you have no authorized key custodian. The systems are designed to lock down if that happens. It's a security feature, not a bug. Then tell me how to override it. I can't. Even if I wanted to, and I don't, I couldn't tell you without violating security protocols. The override requires clearances that your team doesn't have. His voice went cold. You did this on purpose. I did my job on purpose. I built secure systems that protect themselves when incompetent management creates security vulnerabilities. If you'd like to interpret that as malicious, Feel free to explain it to the federal investigators who are currently reviewing your decisions. I hung up before he could respond. My phone rang again immediately. I sent it to voicemail. It rang again. Voicemail. On the third call I blocked his number. That evening I got a call from Agent Cole. Ms. Franklin, we've completed our initial review of your documentation. I need you to come back to the office tomorrow morning. 0800 hours. Is there a problem? Let's discuss it in person. The next morning I arrived at the DCSA office to find Agent Cole waiting with someone new. A woman in her 50s wearing a suit that screamed senior leadership. She had the kind of presence that made rooms go quiet. Ms. Franklin, this is Deputy Director Catherine Reeves. She oversees critical infrastructure security for the Department of Defense. Deputy Director Reeves shook my hand. Her grip was firm. Ms. Franklin, I've read your file. Impressive career. I'm sorry it ended this way. It didn't need to end at all. No, it didn't. Which is why I'm here. Agent Cole has briefed me on the situation at Sentinel Defense. What Mr. Harper did wasn't just bad management. It was criminally negligent. He compromised classified systems, removed authorized personnel without proper succession, and allowed uncleared individuals to attempt access to TS/SCI materials. I tried to stop him. I know. Your documentation is thorough. Too thorough, actually. It's clear you saw this coming and prepared accordingly. She sat down, gestured for me to do the same. Here's where we are. Sentinel Defense's contract is suspended pending a full security review. Mr. Harper is under investigation for multiple violations of federal security regulations. The 3 individuals he brought in are being interviewed as we speak. Are they in trouble? That depends on what they knew and when they knew it. But that's not why you're here. Reeves pulled out a folder. We have a problem, Ms. Franklin. Those systems you built are still locked down. We need them operational. Immediately. The encryption protocols you designed protect critical defense communications. Every day they're offline puts operational security at risk. I understand. Can you fix it? I thought about it. About Owen's panicked phone calls. About Casey and Riley and Jordan who'd been thrown into a situation they weren't prepared for. About the engineers still working at Sentinel who'd done nothing wrong but were now caught in this disaster. Yes. But not for Sentinel. Reeves's eyes sharpened. Explain. If I go back there, I'm working for Owen Harper. I'm validating his decisions. I'm telling the world that you can compromise national security and face no consequences as long as you can bully the expert into fixing your mistakes. What do you want? I want the contract transferred to a competent organization. I want every person involved in this disaster barred from working on classified programs. And I want it in writing that Owen Harper will never again have authority over defense projects. Reeves was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled. A small, predatory smile. Miss Franklin, you're not thinking big enough. I don't want to transfer the contract. I want to hire you directly. Federal employment. GS-14 with GS-15 potential within 2 years. You'd work for DCSA, overseeing critical infrastructure security across defense contractors, auditing systems, flagging risks before they become disasters like this. My pulse jumped. That's a significant career change. It's a significant upgrade. Better pay, benefits, pension, and you'll never deal with another Owen Harper. You'll be the one keeping people like him away from classified systems. What about Sentinel systems? You'll fix them as your first assignment, with federal authority. Then you move on to bigger things. I glanced at Agent Cole. He gave a subtle nod. When do I start? Immediately. You'll be on site tomorrow. Federal badge, agents backing you, no interference. I pictured Owen's face when I walked back in. Casey, Riley, Jordan realizing they'd been used. Every engineer silenced by clueless leadership. Okay. I'm in. Reeves extended her hand. Welcome to federal service, Ms. Franklin. Don't make me regret this. You won't. 24 hours later, I walked back into Sentinel with a federal badge on my belt and Agent Cole at my side. The receptionist froze. I'm here for the federal business. I should call Mr. Harper. No, you won't, Cole said, flashing his badge. Authority under 32 CFR 117. Open the door. She buzzed us through with shaking hands. The office fell silent as we passed. Owen burst from his office, face draining from red to white. "Skylar, what are you doing here?" "Working." I held up my badge. "Daisy, I'm here to remediate the systems you compromised." "You can't just." "I can. And I am." He grabbed my arm. Cole's hand went to his sidearm in a blur. "Mr. Harper. Remove your hand. Now." Owen let go like I'd burned him. Inside as if the Stanford trio sat around my old desk. Casey's man bun gone, Riley off her phone, Jordan looking relieved. "Hi guys. I'm back. Let's fix this mess." 4 hours later, full functionality was restored. The system had locked down exactly as designed, protecting data while preserving integrity. I authenticated, verified the chains, and brought everything online. Cole watched, impressed. "You really made this idiot-proof." "Idiot-resistant. Nothing's truly idiot-proof. But I built it to fail gracefully. That's the difference between a professional and someone who learned cybersecurity from YouTube." I handed him a full report. Every violation, every ignored warning. "This goes to Reeves. She'll decide Sentinel's fate. And Harper. Above my pay grade. But between us, he's done." Outside, Owen stood with a slick lawyer. "My client wishes to file a complaint." "Save it," Cole cut in. "He's under federal investigation for compromising classified material. Add obstruction to the list if you like." The lawyer paled. Owen squeaked. "For what?" "Removing cleared personnel without succession, letting uncleared staff probe TS/SCI systems, falsifying docs, obstructing federal review, just the preliminaries." Cole turned to me. "You're done here. Let's go." In the parking lot, he handed me a business card. "Report Monday, 0700. Bring your Sentinel docs. They're our case study for what not to do." "One question," I said. "What about the engineers who did nothing wrong? If Sentinel cleans house, they keep the contract. If not, the good ones will land elsewhere. The government's always hiring competent people." I drove home feeling something rare. Satisfied. Not happy, lives and systems had been at risk. But satisfied the system, slow as it was, had worked. Justice, bureaucratic but real, was being served. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. That evening, Jordan Park texted, "Thanks for not throwing us under the bus. I'm quitting. This isn't what I signed up for." I replied, "You asked good questions. That means you have instincts. Don't let this poison your view of the field." He asked if the federal government would hire someone like him. "Send me your resume," I told him. "I'll get it to the right people." That weekend, a brief article appeared. Defense contractor faces federal probe over security lapses. It didn't name Sentinel, but everyone knew. An unnamed senior defense official was quoted. "Cost-cutting that compromises national security will not be tolerated." Monday morning, I reported to my new office. A secure facility in Northern Virginia hidden from public maps. Deputy Director Reeves introduced me to my team. 3 senior analysts reviewing 17 active contractor cases. One pulled up a file. A Texas firm had just fired its lead network architect, 20 years experience, and replaced him with an AI consulting firm. "This is Sentinel all over again," I said. "Exactly," Reeves replied. "That's why you're here. Build a profile of warning signs. Help us stop the next disaster before it happens." Over the next month, I cataloged the pattern. Red flag number 1, new modernization, focused leadership. #2, experts labeled resistant to change. Number 3, security concerns dismissed as fear-mongering. #4, uncleared, underqualified replacements hired. #5, when systems fail, the fired expert is blamed for sabotage. The Texas contractor collapsed under red flag number 5. Their network failed during a live test. Investigators found no backdoors, just catastrophic negligence. The firm lost its clearance. The AI vendor folded its government division. The architect got a federal offer, just like me. Back at Sentinel, Owen resigned to pursue other opportunities. The Stanford trio vanished. Casey pivoted to private consulting, Riley returned to apps, and Jordan entered federal training. New leadership, actual cyber professionals, took over. They asked me to consult. I declined but recommended Nina Brooks for lead cryptographer. She got the role and a 30% raise with a promise. Never again would security be overruled. 4 months in, I testified before Congress. How common is this? A senator asked. 15 to 20% of defense contractors, I said. That's just what we've seen. The room fell silent. The story went national. Fired experts began speaking out. 6 months later, Owen emailed, "I'm sorry." He'd been blacklisted, now worked in logistics. He finally understood the stakes. I replied, "Expertise matters. Listen to your people. They're not difficult, they're competent." I'd moved on, to better pay, real authority, meaningful work. No more Owen Harpers. No more being punished for protecting national security. A year after Sentinel, Reeves called me in. "We're launching a rapid response team, federal authority to override contractors, seize systems, stop breaches in real time. I want you to lead it." Me? I've only been federal a year. Reeves leaned forward. "I need someone who understands both the technical side and the human side. Someone who's seen how management failures cascade into security disasters. Someone who can walk into a hostile situation, assess it fast, and stop it before it becomes a congressional hearing. That's a lot of responsibility." 15. Executive schedule. You'd report directly to me. And Franklin, you'd finally have the authority to do what we couldn't at Sentinel. Stop these disasters before they happen. I thought of Nina thriving at Sentinel, Jordan excelling in federal training, and analysts drowning in preventable crises. Okay, I'm in. When do I start? Next Monday. Build your team in 60 days. We became the rapid response team. Less Avengers, more clearance holding obsessives with a mission. I brought on Amanda Westwood, a cryptographer fired for refusing to cut corners. Liam Foster axed for rejecting a cost-effective firewall built on known exploits. And Jordan Park, now our sharp-eyed junior analyst. Our first call came 3 weeks in. A California contractor had swapped their security lead for a retail logistics manager. Red flags everywhere. We showed up unannounced. When the manager tried to block us, Agent Cole, now our federal liaison, said coolly, "We can do this the easy way or the criminal obstruction way. Your choice." We were inside in under 2 minutes. The systems were wide open, unpatched, misconfigured, defenseless. We locked them down before a breach could happen. The CO raged, until he saw the evidence. Then he paled. "I'll fix it," he said. "No," I corrected. "You'll fix it. We'll verify. But this is on you. If you'd listened to your expert, we wouldn't be here." Result: the logistics guy was moved to inventory. The fired expert got rehired, at double salary, with a formal apology logged in the federal record. That became our model. Rapid response, immediate triage, zero tolerance for reckless management. Over 2 years we handled 43 incidents, stopped 12 major breaches, and saved 8 contractors from losing their clearances. Just our name made execs sweat. Better yet, some started listening to their own experts before we had to show up. Then one morning my phone rang. "Miss Franklin, it's Casey Lambert. From Sentinel." He apologized, admitted his arrogance, thanked me for not burning him. Now he teaches cybersecurity and tells his students my story. "Permission granted," I said. "Just make sure they learn. It's not about being smart. It's about respecting the work, and the people who've earned the right to do it." That night I posted a final update to my old Reddit thread. 2 years later, Owen's out of defense forever. The Stanford kids found their paths. Casey teaching, Riley in consumer tech, Jordan in federal service. Sentinel rebuilt properly with Nina at the helm. And me? I lead a federal team that shows up when national security's on the line. The lesson isn't about revenge. It's this: expertise matters. Experience matters. And organizations that ignore their technical professionals pay the price. Usually when those experts are already gone. To every engineer, architect, or cryptographer being called resistant to change for speaking truth, document everything. Know your worth. The right employers out there. Skylar Franklin, GS15 Rapid Response Team Lead, DCSA. I closed my laptop. My dog nudged my hand. Walk time. Outside the air was crisp. I thought of Owen's fake smile, his tablet full of bad decisions, and how he mistook a bottleneck for a load-bearing wall. My phone buzzed. Reeves. New incident. Virginia contractor. Same pattern. Brief Team 0700. I replied. Copy that. We'll be ready. Another expert silenced. Another manager about to learn the hard way. I smiled. Because when the systems fail, and they always do, they'll finally understand. The expert was right, they were wrong. And documentation is forever.